Yo, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another very exciting video tutorial. So in this video tutorial, we are going to look at core data. Core data is a persistent framework that allows us to store data permanently in the user's devices. So now let's create a new Xcode project to explore core data. So I'm going to create a new Xcode project. In this case, a single application is fine. For the name, I'm just going to call this core data demo. Make sure language is Swift and your device is iPhone. However, make sure you check this use core data. So essentially what this does is that it will generate core data boilerplate code that will allow you to implement core data into your application. Okay, so if you notice, there's a new file over here, and it's a data model which allows us to manage our core data stuff. We will be coming back to this later on in this video tutorial, but now I want you to head into your app delegate.swift. Scroll down, and over here in the mark core data stack, you should see some core data related code. You have the persistent container, you have the SaveContext, which is a helper function which allows you to save data. Okay, now head back to your view controller and let's start writing some core data code. But in order to write some core data code, we first need to import the core data module. So let's import it. Okay, so now because the core data stack is in the app delegate over here, we need to get a reference to this app delegate file. Then we get the context from the app delegate. So to do that, we first need to get a reference. So let's create a variable and set it equal to brackets, and in between the brackets you put UI application dot shared dot delegate. So this will get the delegate, and because we know that this is of type app delegate, we can do as with an exclamation point app delegate. Now we're gonna get the context. So what I'm gonna do is to let context equals app delegate dot persistent container. And remember, this persistent container is over here. Persistent container. So we're able to access it because we are referencing to the app delegate already. And then dot view context. So this context, just think of it as a scratch pad which allows you to actually kind of manage your core data stuff. Let me just change this to let. Okay. So now that we have got the context, let's head into the data model. And let's start by adding a new entity. Think of the entity kind of like a class and the attributes kind of like properties. The relationships and fetch properties, you don't have to bother that for now. In this tutorial, we are just going to focus on the attributes. So click on this entity, click enter or return, and change the name to car. Attribute kind of like the properties. We can add an attribute. In this case, let's call this a type. A car should have a type, and a car should have a brand, like so. Now it's giving me two errors, and if I click on these two errors, they say that a car.type must have a defined type, car.brand must have a defined type, because we didn't give these two attributes a type. So let's give this a type. The brand will be string, and here will be string as well. And notice the errors went away. Now head back to your view controller, and over here, let's get a reference to the entity over here. And this new Xcode 8 feature that I really love is that to get a reference to that entity, all you have to do is to do car equals car bracket context. It shouldn't produce an error. Yep, and there's no error. So what this is doing is that it's creating an instance of the car class, and then passing in this context as an argument. And because if you click on this entity, open up this side pane over here, and click on this funny looking icon, we just see the code gen is of class definition. Means it's defined as a class, and you can use it like how you use any other class. Now, since we have created an instance of the car class, we can access the brand and type, which are the following attributes of the car property. The car class. So car.brand, you can assign it to, for example, let's go to Audi, and car.type equals sedan. Okay, so now that we've actually assigned, what we need to do is to actually save that data. And to save that data, we can use the helper function in app delegate, which is over here, SaveContext. So we can just save by calling this function. So what we can do is just say app delegate dot save context. Remember, this app delegate gets a reference to this delegate, and then it calls the SaveContext function, which is in this case in the app delegate.swift. So now we should see it saved into called data. But although it is saved, we need a way to retrieve data. And to retrieve it, it's also quite simple. All we have to do is to say context dot fetch. And because you notice the throw keyword, that means this line of code may throw an error, and that's why you need to wrap this in a do try catch block. So let's wrap that in. So say do, and over here say catch. In the catch, I'm gonna just go and print error. In the do, what we need to do is let the result. So the result would be equal to try context dot fetch. So what this is doing is that it's gonna try to fetch data from the context and then assign it to this result constant. And if for some reason, if there's any error, it's going to print error. And now over here, we want to fetch the car with a capital C dot fetch request, like so. Again, this is new Xcode 8 feature. So now you don't have to create like a NS fetch request and then do all the stuff. You can simply just do this. Now we actually want to print the result, and if we take a look at this, okay, it's an array of type any. And because we know when we are getting the data from core data, it's going to be an array of cars. So what we can do is say let cars equal result, and we can typecast this as an array of cars instead. And because this is an array, we can use a for loop to loop through each of the elements in the array, and for every element in that array, we can print the result. So you can say for car in cars, let's print brand, and using string interpolation, let's print a car dot brand. Let's print type car dot type, like so. Now let's build and run it and see how it goes. Okay, in the console we have a lot of garbage, but over here, as you can see, it prints the brand and the type. So just to make these things a little bit clear, I'm going to clear the garbage log. Okay, by going to product, scheme, edit scheme. In your environment variables, I'm going to add OS, Active, vt mode, and the value of this would be disable. So this essentially will just get rid of all this garbage log that we absolutely don't need. So let's run it again and see how it goes. Boom. And now notice that it prints twice. Now over here you may have already seen call data in action, but if you haven't, let me just point that out for you. Because we already saved all these done once, therefore it's taking the previously saved done and printing it out. And this is the second done that's being saved, because when you run this code again, this done is being saved one more time. Just to prove that call data is working, I'm going to change this now to BMW. And over here, it's going to change it to coupe. So as you can see, there are two sedans, and that is because these two sedans have been previously saved into core data. And now a new BMW coupe is being saved into core data because we run this blob code, but this time we change it to BMW coupe. So hopefully through this example, you are able to see core data in action right now. And congratulations for making it to the end of this video tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up, or leave a comment, feedback, suggestions, whatever you want down in the comment section down below. As always, this is Ben. Peace out.